All right, let's get ugly here. Let's talk about the freaking spending in this country, which is a disaster. And we know Chip will shoot us straight like he always does, whether or not it's comfortable. Joining me now, a great congressman from the state of Texas. Chip, it's not you. It's not you that I'm down about. I just see a big screw job coming because we have a big, beautiful bill, which is anything but what's happening, what's going to pass. It all sucks.
I figured when you said let's get ugly now that I thought it was just that, I have a face for radio and you were being pretty blunt about it. But, that's all good. I can take it. DC is Hollywood for ugly people, and I'm used to it. It's cool. I'm good with that. So look, here's the deal. I'll cut to the chase. We all want to deliver on what the president ran on, right? You do, I do, most of the people that I represent. America First agenda. Let's do what we need to do to cut taxes. Yes, extend the tax cuts. But we have to deliver on the spending side. The president's been serious about that. He talked about it in the inaugural address. But of course, Republicans are never serious about that. So we've set this up and we're having this fight right now within the Republican Party about how to get there. I have been very purposeful in not drawing red lines, right? I have not said, well, if I don't get this, I won't vote for the bill. If I don't get this, I won't vote for the bill. Because for me, I'm trying to figure out what we need to do to get 218 Republicans rallied together to actually deliver. But here are the sticking points. We have Medicaid reform, which is necessary. Now, let me be very clear about that. The House budget increases spending on Medicaid, okay? It increases spending by 25% over the decade. Yet everybody's running around saying, oh, we can't cut Medicaid. We can't cut Medicaid. Only in DC is a reduction in the increases a cut. But by reducing those increases, we can actually save a pretty significant amount of money to try to get to balance. Let me say one more point on that. There's something that I'm not going to nerd out on too much for your listeners to bore them, but something called FMAP, which is the rate at which the federal government is funding this program rather than the states. The able-bodied, that is, that were expanded under Obamacare, which we all campaigned against, which we all opposed just a few years ago, that expansion population gets 90 cents on the dollar, 90% from the federal government. Here you go. All of that money compared to 50 to 70% for the vulnerable population, the sick, the single moms, the elderly, the people who are actually vulnerable. And we can debate all of this, but in what universe should we be giving more for able-bodied people under Medicaid than those who are vulnerable and sick? Under what world should we be giving more to people on Medicaid than we do on Medicare? In what world should we be giving people money on Medicaid if they're not eligible for it or if they're illegal? That's what we're trying to fix. And some of my moderate colleagues are going, oh, we can't do this. We might lose our elections in 18 months. Dude, your election certificate isn't worth spit if you don't actually deliver on the stuff we said we would do. So that's the core of the fight, Jesse.
Okay, so shoot me straight on this, Chip, because you got elected. I definitely didn't. I lost 2 races. Does Medicaid spending get Republicans elected, or cutting Medicaid spending? Does that cost Republicans elections?
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of the central point, right? Like, I understand that President Trump has built a new coalition. You do too. I like that new coalition. A lot of hardworking Americans, yes, some of whom are on Medicaid. But the Republican position that those hardworking Americans supported wasn't the promise of federal benefits or giveaways. It was the promise of sanity, of a secure border, of the opportunity to go achieve and to make money for their families. It was, yes, to be able to go to the doctor of their choice and to afford health care. Absolutely. But they didn't go to President Trump because President Trump was going to buy their votes. They went to President Trump because President Trump was saving America. That's what we're supposed to be doing, saving America. So, look, I want to make sure that we cut spending enough to balance the budget. I'm not looking for something draconian, Jesse. This is not some, philosophical debating society. I'm staring at $37 trillion in debt. The House budget that my moderate friends say they cannot find the spending reductions to achieve would still leave us $56 trillion in debt in 10 years. That is asinine. I want to do better than that, but I want at least that. I want to repeal the Inflation Reduction Act subsidies that are destabilizing the Texas grid and causing me to have battery plants and solar panels in the beautiful hill country in Texas because they're getting free money that are subsidizing and enriching the Chinese. Why can't we repeal that? We said we would, but a bunch of Republicans are saying they won't do it. And I say, you know what? To hell with that. I'm going to do what I said I would do.
So the Republicans saying they won't repeal the IRA, they're just Republicans getting fat federal checks for their district, right?
That's exactly right. And so to be clear, the CBO said that we could save about $750 billion. Right now, I'm being told that they're going to find $400 billion in savings. You know what that really means is $350 billion or a bunch of hey, I need to bring home the checks to my corn states, or let me be fair, there are Texans. Oh, we have oil and gas companies that wanted their free money too. I don't mind walking into Houston, where you are, or going out to Midland or in Austin and walking into the boardrooms and saying, guys, I am opposing the subsidies that you're taking on the back of your children and my children and our grandchildren. I have no problem telling Texans that. We should not be doing that and selling out the future of our country to walk into rooms and say, oh, we're bringing home your free subsidies. They're not free. They're killing our country.
Let's switch gears to something else disheartening, Chip. The judges. Everyone's mad. Everyone's mad, and everyone's getting more and more disheartened as we wake up every day and we check our phones and we found out, wait a minute, yet another judge stopped what I voted for. We're losing legitimacy fast. There's a lot more at stake than just deportations.
Yeah, that's right. And I'll tell you, I think we need to do a lot. A lot of people talked about impeachment. That's fine. I think some of these guys have crossed lines that we should impeach them. I don't know if the Senate will convict, but I don't want to waste a lot of time sort of tilting at windmills. If we can go make a case, let's do it. What I think we need to do is use our constitutional power to restrain the jurisdiction of these judges. I think we ought to restrain the budgets of these judges. I think in the reconciliation process, we ought to be looking at the budgets of the DC courts that are abusing their power. But here's an important one, Jesse. I think, and I sent a letter to the speaker today saying that when we put this final package together, we should do something important, which is to say that we've got these immigration judges we're funding with staff. They can process all of these claims. They're constitutionally, they're empowered. They can do that. But we should take away the ability of these non-citizen, these illegals, to get into Article 3 courts and have these judges just make these random unilateral decisions. We should force them into these executive branch courts where they can get the process that they deserve under the Constitution, but then we can make the determinations and remove them. So I think we need legislation to do that, force them into the right places, let the president and go out and execute and follow the law, and then make sure that we can do the job that he said he would do. We've only removed about, 15,000 people from the interior, not because Tom Homan and ICE and the president and those great men and women aren't doing a good job, but we got to do more. They need beds, and we need to move them faster. We got to get them out.
Congressman, as always, I appreciate you very much. Stay in the fight. All right. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.